Hi, and welcome to this edition of MyMetroTV.com. Daybreak, first stop to the rest of the weekend. I'm Frederick Knight. Thank you for joining us this morning. Got a great show on tap for you. Coming up this morning, Michelle Harris continues her series, Parenting Solo. Her guest this morning, Judith Crocker-Billingsley. Also coming up, my conversation with Terrance Henderson. He's the director and choreographer for the Trustus Theatre performance of Smokey Joe's Cafe. We'll have a behind-the-scenes look at the new Cameron Diaz movie, Bad Teachers, plus we'll take a look at what's going on in and around the Metro. All that and more coming up on this morning's edition of MyMetroTV.com. Daybreak, first stop to the rest of the weekend.
Welcome to this week's edition of Parenting Solo. I'm Michelle Harris. My guest today is Judith Crocker-Billingsley. Welcome, Judith.
Hello, how are you doing today?
Judith Crocker-Billingsley is a wonderful social worker here in Columbia. She works with the court system, family court system, every day. She's a clinical community social worker, adjunct professor at Midlands Tech. The list could go on and on. It'd be the entire segment if we were talking about it. But basically, the main thing is, Judith, you see on a daily basis families in crisis. And today, what I wanted to talk to you about was about some of that crisis, toxic relationships, if you will, especially for our young people. We as parents many times can see when a friendship is not so productive for our children,
right,
but a lot of times our kids can't recognize it. What would your advice be for a teenager, say between the ages of 12 and 17? How can you recognize when a friendship is not so good for you?
I would start with pretty much trusting the parent. Okay?
Say that again.
Trusting the parent. The child must first trust the parent and know that that parent has the child's best interest at heart, so to speak. When looking at toxic relationships, parents may just have to step in and end the relationship itself. It's kind of hard to do that simply because we as parents are not going to be with our children at school. We're not going to be with our children at social events. We're not going to even be with them when they're walking home on the bus or wherever they might be. So what's more important is some of the dynamics, the factors that are involved, such as violence. You know, has the child ever come to you and say, well, this person slapped me, whether male or female? Has this person inappropriately touched me? Does this person call me names, call me bad names?
Belittle me, something like that.
Belittle me. Does this person bully me? It's really kind of difficult to determine when and how a parent can actually end a toxic relationship without having the parent involved and the actual community involved.
And that's part of what it is. What many parents notice is that the more we try to limit somebody's contact with a child, especially someone we don't particularly care for, but the child does, the more they tend to gravitate to the child. So is it more that we need to really sit down and have a one-on-one, maybe not so emotional, and kind of talk to the child about perhaps some of the things that you talked about, point out some of the negative things that might be happening?
And if you're in a good relationship with the child, you can actually sit down with the child and that child's partner, so to speak, or that child's boyfriend, a girlfriend, a friend, girl, or whatever, however they want to be identified. But I think it's going to be important that the parent is really involved with ending what we have described and defined as a toxic relationship.
And if it's to someone that's in their inner circle, someone that is in their neighborhood, goes to school with them, goes to church with them, how do you end a relationship where you tend to see that person on a regular basis?
Well, now you're talking about restrictions. Now you're talking about consequences. Now you're talking about monitoring. Now you're talking about educating. Now you're talking about actually being a role model. You may be talking about contacting the school resource officer. You may be talking about the school social worker or the guidance counselor at the church. It's going to be a difficult process in order to end a relationship.
Is it interesting because so many times parents, the children model our behavior.
Absolutely.
They're looking at what we do. So do you think that maybe we need to take inventory of some of our relationships so that we're not asking them to do something that maybe we haven't done?
And that's a good point, Michelle, simply because a lot of the young girls who I am working with, and even some of my college students, are saying things like, well, Mom, you're in it. How can you tell me? Even speaking with the father recently, he was like, well, she's doing exactly what she saw her mother do.
She's playing out there. And that's what we don't want our children to do as parents.
And it's hard.
It is hard.
It is very hard, because now you're talking about breaking a cycle of a teenager who probably has already begun to, you know, cycle or mirror a mother or grandmother's behavior.
I think maybe personal inventory for everyone involved, and maybe some goal setting as to what young people may want, what they want out of a relationship. Do you think that maybe we should talk a little bit about the purpose of a friendship? And if you had to define that, what is the purpose of a friendship really?
I think that's hard to define. I think it's personal.
It's subjective depending on what the person wants.
I think it's personal. I think it's individualized. What do I need from another person? Think about ourselves. What do we need from another individual?
That's true. A lot of times we want attention. A lot of times we want affirmation. And I've heard people say, well, I just want someone who shares my interests and activities.
I just want someone to listen. And then in some cases,
I just want someone to listen.
I need someone to listen. In some cases, you know, whether it's male or female, I just need somebody to love me.
You know what? And Judith, I really wanted to talk to you too about that family time and how important those connections are. When we get back in this society where we're so busy and so many things going on, what about the family dinner table? There are parents, and I know you run into this every day, who desire to spend more time with their children and have absolutely no idea how to do it. They don't know what to do. And
even with my college students, one of the things I have to say right now is that the classroom now is no longer the college classroom now. It's no longer the 17, 18-year-old fresh out of high school situation. You have persons like yourself. You have persons like
29?
myself. Okay. 29 and 29. You know, you even have some persons in the classroom who may be 80 years old.
Right.
Okay, due to the, I know we've gotten off the kilter with the question, but you're talking about family time. We have to redefine it. I hear a lot of my students say, my child helped me with my homework. And
that was the time for them to share.
That's the time for sharing. When I feel so good when I get in from class because my child will have my bath water run. You know, my husband or my spouse,
teach my daughter to do that.
My significant other, okay, has my dinner ready. Okay,
that kind of sharing.
It's all in
That's
how
great.
we look at the values within that particular family system. You know, but it has to be defined by us, not by what the community or society says.
Now that's true. That's a great stopping point. In fact, I want you to hang out with us because we're going to do another installment with you. But thank you so much for your insight, Judith. And that wraps it up for this edition of Parenting Solo on MyMetroTV.com. First stop to the rest of the weekend.
Still to come, we'll take a behind-the-scenes look at the new Cameron Diaz movie, Bad Teachers, plus my conversation with Terrance Henderson from Trustus Theatre. All that and more coming up when MyMetroTV.com Daybreak. First stop to the rest of the weekend continues. This portion of MyMetroTV.com Daybreak is being brought to you in part by Marbella's Fine Hats, 9400 Two Notch Road, Suite F. Ladies, dress like the queen that you are and wear your crown from Marbella's Fine Hats. Times are tough across the country and foreclosure is a part of that reality. Bluebird Property Management wants to help with their foreclosure forgiveness program, created to assist individuals who are looking for a new home as a result of a foreclosure within the last 12 months. Give us a call to see if we can help. 803-661-6782.
We at Bluebird Property Management know times are tough. We understand your situation and we want to help. Give us a call today.
Hi, I'm Luann White here at Styling Point Salon, where we specialize in cuts and colors and a wide selection of braiding and weaving. And remember, don't miss MyMetroTV.com.
Saturday mornings on Watch Fox. Columbia's Trustus Theatre, in its 26th season, offers a true Broadway classic, Smokey Joe's Cafe. I had the opportunity to talk with the director/choreographer, Terrance Henderson, about what attracted him to this show. Terrance, now tell me about the show. It's, it's chock full of hits from the 50s and whatnot, and, it's one of those shows where it takes some thought to get yourself involved in it. What attracted you to do this show?
Well, one of the reasons why we chose this show is that it's a summer show, so our summer shows run for a slightly longer run than some of the other shows in our season. And when you're doing a summer show, people want to have something fun to go see. And Smokey Joe's Cafe is basically a review of Lieber and Stoller songs. And it's a lot of songs that people recognize, people know, and it also appeals to people of all ages. It's a family show, so the kids can come, grandparents can come, because some of them remember this music, and then introduce some young people to music that maybe they didn't know.
All right. Now, tell me a little bit about the cast, folks you've got doing this for.
Yes, I say to everyone that my strongest choice that I made as a director was casting the people that I cast in this show. We have two legendary Columbia performers, Bobby Kraft and Valdina Hall, and we also have some new fresh faces in their first show here at Trustus, Joseph Scott and Arisha Connor, Katrina Garvin, as well as Cody Lodge. And then we have some other sort of staple, some of the hottest talent here, young talent here at Columbia, myself, Daryl Bird, Walter Graham, Jocelyn Brannon, and Linda Posey. In addition to that, I'm also the director of Vibrations Dance Company, and we have some dancers from Vibrations Dance Company also perform with us. So each night in the show, there are two dancers that are also performing with the cast of singing, bringing the cast to a cast of 13.
Okay, that's a big company to work with. Tell me this, Terrance, right now, it's all the buzz in New York on the theater scene, the issues they had with Spider-Man, all the problems and whatnot. What kind of problems did you encounter, if any, pulling off Smokey Joe's Cafe?
Well, some of the problems that we had in putting this show together was really learning how to keep the show moving. It's 39 songs. It's a very heavy show. It's a demanding show for the singers especially, singing so many songs in one night. So how to keep the ball in the air and keep the energy moving throughout the night and make the transitions as smooth and tight as possible. I mean, even up until tonight, we've been making changes, nuances that we're having to fix, little things to help keep the show flowing at a sort of quick but very steady pace.
Okay, and tell me, what are some of the things we can expect with the show?
Well, one of the things you can definitely expect is fun. It is a very, very, very fun, exciting show. It's a lot of music people recognize: Charlie Brown, Yakka Yak, Spanish Harlem, Jailhouse Rock. There are a lot of familiar tunes, but they're being done with a new twist. Some of them, you're going to get to see some of our strongest musical theater performers in Columbia especially doing their rendition of some of these great songs. So I think people can expect some out of sight, dynamite dancing from the whole cast, and they can also expect to see some great costumes by our wonderful costumer, Alexis Doctor.
Okay, and tell me about the length of the run and how folks, if they want to find out more about this show and or coming events.
Yes, they can visit us online, of course, at trustus.org, or we're also on Facebook, and they can call the theater at 254-9732 for tickets. And we open tomorrow night, and we run on Thursday through Sundays till July 23rd.